Chosen ones, this is a message you cannot afford to ignore. A heavy warning has already been delivered, and its weight is profound. Your enemies, the ones who relentlessly seek to harm you, have now been given their final opportunity. God has issued a direct and unmistakable command. If they do not turn back, if they do not cease their attacks, sickness and suffering will fall upon them. Their defiance is not just an attack on you. It is a direct challenge to the divine will that has set you on a path for a higher purpose. Those who lurk in the shadows, conspiring against you, have been granted mercy. Yet they continue to press forward, driven by arrogance, blind to their own pride. God's voice has reached them, calling them to stop, to reconsider, to abandon their cruel pursuit. But they persist. They push forward, unaware that each step they take is leading them deeper into peril. The scales of justice are now tilting, and the consequences of their actions will soon be unleashed, like a dam breaking after being pushed beyond its limits. You, chosen by God, stand at the epicenter of this unfolding storm. You are not a passive participant in this divine drama. You are the light. Your righteousness, your integrity, has drawn the attention of heaven, and you are keenly aware of the unseen forces at work. God has confirmed the warning to you in ways that resonate deeply within your spirit. There is no confusion, no doubt. The weight of this knowledge is pressing upon your heart, and you feel it with every part of your being. When God reveals to you the fate of your enemies, it is not to fuel a sense of pride or vengeance. No, it is because you have matured. Your heart, tempered by trials and strengthened by faith, has become capable of understanding the long arc of justice. You see beyond the immediate pain they have caused, and understand that justice is not about personal victory. It is about restoring balance to the universe. As the consequences of their actions begin to unfold, they may not realize it at first. They may still press forward, blinded by their self-assurance. But you will see. You will witness the subtle shifts, the cracks forming beneath the surface. Their once unshakable foundations will begin to crumble. At first, it may be a small deal falling apart, a relationship turning sour, or a sudden loss of influence. But these are only the tremors, the first signs of the greater consequences to come. You know this not because you desire it, but because God has revealed it to you. Your heart, now shaped by hardship, is ready to witness this unfolding with clarity. You are not driven by a desire for revenge, but by an understanding that justice must prevail. Your enemies had their chance to change, to cease their destructive ways, but they refused. Now, the inevitable consequences have begun to take shape. As this divine process unfolds, you will remain steadfast. Your role is not to gloat over their downfall, but to continue walking in righteousness, knowing that God's justice is not something to fear for the righteous, but for those who have chosen to defy it. Your enemies have been warned, time and time again. The divine voice has spoken clearly, urging them to cease their relentless pursuit, to abandon their destructive plans. Yet they remain deaf to these warnings, pressing on in opposition. With every refusal, every step they take against this divine message, they build a shadow over themselves, a force that will only grow stronger. This is not a matter of whether they will stop. If they persist, the consequences will not simply arrive. They will engulf them, like a tidal wave crashing upon the rocks. Unstoppable, unyielding. For those of you who walk in purity, whose hearts are aligned with justice, these revelations are not new. You already know what is coming. God, in His infinite wisdom, often allows you to witness these consequences before they even unfold. You have seen the sickness that will befall those who ignore His will. You understand that this decay will not only affect their bodies but will seep into their spirits, their lives, and their very essence. It is as though they are walking into a storm, believing that their strength will carry them through, unaware that the storm is not only fierce, but relentless. But remember this: God does not reveal such things for your amusement or pleasure. These revelations are given to you because you are meant to understand the weight of divine justice and to carry that understanding with humility. As this process unfolds, stay focused on your own divine mission. You are not meant to revel in their downfall, but to continue living with integrity, knowing that the justice of God is not to be feared by those who walk upright, but by those who have chosen to turn away from it. Chosen ones, do not let this message pass you by. A powerful and urgent warning has been sent, and its significance cannot be ignored. Your adversaries, those who tirelessly oppose you, have been given a final opportunity to change their course. God has made it clear. Should they refuse to repent and cease their relentless pursuit of harm, they will face consequences far greater than they can imagine. Their defiance is not merely directed toward you but against the divine will that has specifically chosen you for a higher purpose. These enemies, who operate in the shadows and scheme your downfall, have been shown mercy time and again. Yet, driven by arrogance and blinded by their own pride, they persist in their attacks. Despite God's repeated calls for them to reconsider, they march forward, deaf to the warnings. They are unaware that with every step they take against you, they draw closer to their own destruction. The balance is tipping, and the weight of their actions will soon become undeniable, crashing down upon them like a dam finally breaking under pressure. As the chosen of God, you are not a mere bystander in this divine conflict. You are not simply the victim of their cruelty. No, you are the beacon of light and righteousness, and your uprightness has captured the attention of heaven itself. Because of your integrity and commitment to the divine, you are keenly aware of the unseen forces at work. God has shown you the truth in ways that resonate deeply within your heart, affirming that these warnings have been made clear. This divine revelation has not been given to foster pride or a thirst for vengeance, but rather to confirm the maturity you have attained. Through trials and hardships, you have learned to walk with integrity, even in the face of hostility. This growth in character allows you to see beyond the immediate pain and understand the long arc of justice, which, though it may seem slow, inevitably bends toward righteousness. You are no longer swayed by the temporary victories of your enemies, nor do their actions break your spirit. God has shown you their inevitable fate because you have demonstrated that you can handle this knowledge with wisdom. Your understanding of justice transcends personal victory. It is about restoring balance to the universe. The consequences of your enemy's actions are already beginning to manifest. At first, they may fail to recognize the changes. Perhaps a deal will fall through, or a relationship will sour. But these are merely the first tremors. The full weight of their choices is yet to come. You know this not out of malice, but because God has revealed it to you. Your heart, tempered by hardship and strengthened by faith, is prepared to witness the unfolding of their consequences, not out of desire for revenge, but because you know that justice must be served. Your enemies were given the opportunity to change, to turn away from their destructive paths, but they refused. Now their fate is sealed. This unfolding is not your doing but a result of their repeated disobedience. Your role is not to rejoice in their downfall but to remain steadfast in your own journey of righteousness. Their fate is not because of your actions but because they ignored the repeated calls to stop their pursuit of destruction. As the justice of God moves forward, it is not a force to be feared by the righteous, but a force that strikes fear in the hearts of those who ignore it. Your enemies have chosen to continue, despite all the warnings. Every step they take in defiance of divine instruction only strengthens the force against them. The consequences of their refusal to listen will not merely come. They will crash upon them like a tidal wave, impossible to stop or ignore. You, who have walked with purity and whose heart aligns with justice, are not surprised by what is coming. God, in His infinite wisdom, often allows you to witness the fate of those who disregard His will before it even unfolds. He has shown you the sickness that will befall those who persist in defying Him, a decay that will not only affect their physical bodies but will permeate their spirits, their lives, and their very essence. It is as though they are walking toward a storm, confident that their strength will see them through, unaware that the wind they face is not just powerful but unrelenting. Let it be clear that God does not reveal these things to you for your entertainment or enjoyment. Instead, this knowledge is shared with you because you are entrusted with the wisdom to understand it. Your heart is aligned with divine justice, and it is through this alignment that you will witness the unfolding of consequences. You know that your role is not to revel in the downfall of your enemies, but to continue on your righteous path, walking in the light of God's will. This is not merely a matter of personal triumph. It is the restoration of balance, the ultimate victory of divine justice over human arrogance. Your enemies were given a choice, and they chose to continue on their destructive path. Now they must face the consequences, which will be inescapable. As you watch their downfall unfold, remain grounded in your mission. Do not let your heart be swayed by a desire for revenge, but understand deeply that justice, in its purest form, is about righting wrongs, restoring balance, and upholding the divine order. As the divine judgment takes its course, remember that you are part of a greater plan, one that stretches beyond this moment and into eternity. Continue to walk in righteousness, knowing that divine justice will prevail in the end. Chosen ones, hear this message, for it carries a profound significance. A warning has been issued, one that reverberates with an unmistakable weight. Your enemies, those who have relentlessly pursued their attacks against you, have now been granted a final opportunity to repent. God has spoken clearly and with immense clarity. If they refuse to turn away from their hostile ways, if they do not cease their unyielding pursuit, sickness will strike them down. This is not just a personal conflict. It is a challenge to the very will of the divine, a defiance against the sacred purpose that God has appointed for you. Your enemies, those who conspire in the shadows, plotting your downfall, have already been shown mercy. They have been offered chances to change, yet they continue to move against you. Their hearts, hardened by arrogance and blinded by pride, refuse to heed God's call. The voice of God has echoed through their lives, urging them to cease their assault, to reconsider their path, yet they press on undeterred. They remain unaware that every step they take toward you is a step into increasingly perilous territory. Now, the balance is tipping, and the consequences they have earned will soon be unleashed, powerful and irreversible, like a dam breaking under too much pressure. You, chosen by God, stand not as a passive observer in this unfolding drama. You are not simply the victim of their cruelty. No, you are the beacon of righteousness that illuminates the darkness around you. Your uprightness, your unwavering integrity, has drawn the gaze of heaven. It is because of your steadfastness that you are now aware of the unseen forces at work, forces that are operating both in your life and in the lives of those around you. God has confirmed to you in ways only you can understand that the warnings have been sent. There is no ambiguity, no room for doubt. This truth has been pressed upon your heart and resonates deeply within your spirit. When God reveals to you the fate of your enemies, it is not to fuel your pride or desire for vengeance. No, it is because your heart has matured. You have learned the true meaning of integrity and righteousness, carrying yourself with honor even when surrounded by hostility. This maturity has endowed you with the ability to see beyond the immediate struggles and to understand the long arc of justice, which bends toward righteousness, slowly but inevitably. You are not swayed by the temporary victories of your enemies, nor are you broken by the pain they inflict. God shows you their fate because you have proven yourself capable of handling such knowledge. You understand that justice is not about personal triumph. It is about restoring balance to the world. As the consequences of your enemies' actions begin to unfold, they may not immediately recognize the shift in their lives. They will press on, blinded by their arrogance, as though nothing has changed. But you, chosen one, will perceive the subtle shifts, small cracks in their seemingly unshakable foundation. It may begin with minor setbacks, a failed deal, a soured relationship, or a sudden loss of influence. But these are just the initial tremors. The full weight of their choices is yet to come. You do not wish this upon them. Rather, you understand it because God has revealed it to you. Your heart, tempered by hardship and strengthened by faith, is ready to witness the unfolding of this divine justice. You are not driven by a thirst for revenge, but by a profound understanding that justice must prevail. Your enemies were given opportunities to change their ways, to turn away from their destructive path, but they chose not to. Now, the consequences are set in motion, and there is no escape. As these events unfold, you remain steadfast. Your role is not to gloat or revel in their downfall, but to continue walking in the righteousness that God has called you to. Their fate is sealed, not because of anything you have done, but because they have ignored every warning God sent. You, however, remain unwavering, understanding that the justice of God is not something to be feared by those who walk in righteousness. It is meant for those who disregard the divine will. Your enemies have been warned again and again. They have been urged to cease their relentless pursuit, to abandon their destructive plans. Yet, they remain deaf to the divine voice, continuing on their path. With each refusal, with every step they take in defiance, they cast a shadow over themselves, an ever-growing force that will ultimately consume them. This is no longer a question of if the consequences will come. It is a matter of when, and when they do arrive, they will come like a tidal wave, undeniable and unstoppable, crashing against the rocks of their resistance. For those of you who have walked in purity, whose hearts are aligned with what is just, these revelations are not unfamiliar. You already know what is coming. God, in His wisdom, often allows His chosen ones to see the consequences of the wicked before they unfold. He has revealed the sickness that will afflict those who turn away from Him. This decay will not only affect their physical bodies, but their spirits, their lives, and even the very essence of their being. It is as though they are marching toward a storm, believing that their own strength will keep them grounded, unaware that the storm is relentless and will not relent. But heed this, God does not reveal such things to you for your personal pleasure or amusement. It is to prepare you, to strengthen you for the divine role you must play in this unfolding drama. It is not a call to vengeance, but a reminder of the importance of remaining steadfast in righteousness. You, chosen one, are not merely an observer, but an active participant in a cosmic exchange of divine justice. Stand firm, for the forces of truth and balance are at work, and they will unfold in ways that bring about the restoration of what has been lost, a rebalancing of the scales of justice. This is your moment, chosen one. You are standing at the center of a divine storm, not as a passive bystander, but as a guiding light for all who walk in truth and righteousness. The storm may seem fierce, but remember, God is with you, and His justice will prevail. Stay grounded in your purpose, continue to walk in integrity, and know that you are part of a divine plan that is unfolding in ways far beyond human comprehension. Your role is crucial, and your strength lies in your unwavering faith in the divine. Chosen ones, you must not overlook the weight of this message. A powerful warning has already been sent, and it carries with it the gravity of divine authority. Your enemies, those who persist in their relentless attacks against you, have now reached the final stage of their trial. God has issued a clear and unmistakable message to them. If they do not turn back, if they do not cease their ceaseless pursuit, sickness will strike them down. Their defiance is not merely aimed at you but challenges the very will of God, the divine purpose that has been set upon your life. Those who conspire in the shadows, plotting your downfall, have been given countless chances to change their course. They have been shown mercy, yet they continue on their path, driven by arrogance and blinded by their pride. Time and time again, God's voice has reached them, urging them to stop, to reconsider their destructive path, but they refuse to listen. They march forward undeterred, unaware that each step they take only leads them deeper into peril. The scales are tipping, and soon, the full weight of their actions will come crashing down upon them, like a dam finally breaking after being pushed to its limits. As a chosen one, you are not a passive observer in this divine exchange. You do not merely stand as a victim of their cruelty. You are the beacon of righteousness that calls forth the attention of heaven. Your uprightness, your steadfast integrity, has drawn the gaze of divine forces, and because of this, you are granted the wisdom to perceive the unseen forces at work. God has confirmed to you in ways uniquely personal that the warnings have been given. There is no room for doubt or confusion. You feel the weight of this truth pressing upon your heart, and it resonates deeply within your spirit. When God reveals to you the fate of your enemies, it is not to fill you with pride or desire for vengeance. No, it is because your heart has matured. You have learned to walk with integrity, even in the face of hostility. This maturity has enabled you to see beyond the immediate struggles, allowing you to understand the long arc of justice, one that bends slowly, but inevitably, toward righteousness. You are not swayed by the fleeting victories of your enemies, nor are you broken by the pain they inflict. God shows you their fate because you have proven yourself capable of handling such knowledge. You understand that justice is not about your personal triumph. It is about restoring balance to the world. As the consequences of their actions begin to unfold, they may not immediately recognize what is happening. They will continue forward, blinded by their self-assurance, acting as if nothing has changed. But you will notice it. You will see the subtle shifts, the cracks forming beneath the surface. Their once unshakable foundations will begin to crumble. At first, it may appear as small setbacks. A deal falling apart, a relationship turning sour, a sudden loss of influence. These are just the first tremors. The full weight of their choices has yet to manifest. You know this not because you wish ill upon them, but because God has revealed it to you. Your heart, tempered by hardship and strengthened by faith, is ready to witness this unfolding. You are not driven by a thirst for revenge but by a deeper understanding. Justice must be served. Your enemies had their chance to change, to abandon their destructive path, but they refused. Now, the consequences are set in motion, and they are inescapable. As these events unfold, your role is not to gloat or revel in their downfall but to continue walking in the righteousness that God has called you to. Their fate is sealed, not because of your actions, but because they have ignored every warning that has been given to them. You, however, remain upright and unwavering, knowing that the justice of God is not something to be feared by those who walk in righteousness but by those who disregard it. Your enemies have been warned repeatedly. They have been called to turn away from their destructive pursuits, but they continue to walk in defiance. Each refusal, every step they take in opposition to the divine warning, only strengthens the shadow that looms over them. It is no longer a question of if the consequences will come, but when. When they do, they will come with the force of a tidal wave, crashing down with unstoppable power. For those of you who have walked in purity, your hearts aligned with what is just, these revelations are not unfamiliar. You already sense what is coming. God, in His infinite wisdom, often allows His chosen ones to see the consequences of the wicked before they unfold. He has revealed the sickness that will come upon those who ignore His voice. This decay will not only affect their physical bodies but will seep into their spirits, their lives, and their very essence. It is as if they are walking toward a storm, believing their own strength will keep them steady, unaware that the storm is not only strong but relentless. Yet, heed this. God does not reveal such things for your personal satisfaction or pleasure. He does so to prepare you, to fortify you for the role you must play in this unfolding drama. Now, more than ever, you understand that this is not a call for vengeance. This is a reminder that divine justice will prevail. Your enemies were given opportunities to change, but they chose not to. The consequences have now been set in motion, and they will not escape. Continue to walk in righteousness, remain steadfast, and know that God's plan is unfolding as it should. His justice will not fail, and you, as one of His chosen, are part of a divine process that transcends human understanding. Stay grounded in your purpose, for the forces of divine retribution and restoration are at work, bringing balance and harmony to the world. The storm is coming, but remember, you are the beacon, the light in the midst of it, and you will endure.